So the question here that I really want to enlighten or put some light on for you here is, are your roles helping or hindering you? How conscious are you of the roles that you're playing? Hi, this is Jason Kanigan, President of Sales on Fire. I want to talk to you today about role performance. And people are going to go, oh, whoa, what are you talking about, theater? No, role performance is how you do the job that you happen to be doing at that moment in time. And I'm using job in a loose sense here, like the task, as opposed to a formal role. But it could very well be a job role. So a lot of people get bound up with their title and their role, and they see it as their identity. And this is very dangerous. This is why you see people retire and die within 10 years, because they no longer have that core of their identity, because it was so trapped and bound up in what they did for a living. That's very dangerous. So I don't want you to get trapped in there. Now, in the more immediate sense, if you're trying to take on a new sales position or start a new business, you're going to have trouble if your role, your sense of self, is tied up in the old role. And what brought this on was I saw a post today in a Facebook group I'm a member of for new business owners. And a guy, a really nice guy, was saying, I'm a security professional and I'm really trying to start a new business, and I hope to be a former security professional. And so I had to jump in there and say, whoa, the more you identify with being a security professional as your sense of self, the harder that transition is going to be. And I want to hopefully enlighten you on how these roles, and especially if you're unconscious of how strongly you're holding on to them, are filtering through your brain, your RAS. You're filtering stuff all around you, opportunities. You're missing out on them. Because a role, it will help you and it will hurt you, depending on how conscious you are, aware you are, and how strongly you're directing. Okay, the focus of this role. We'll get into this in a minute. Now, I've had a lot of roles in my life, a lot. I've had a lot of jobs, I started out in restaurants. I worked in restaurants for 8 years. And put myself through school. I paid half my tuition fees with work that I did in restaurants back in my teens and early 20s. And continued to work on them as a second job. I like restaurant people. A lot of my good friendships are with restaurant people I've known for 20 years. And so it doesn't really matter where you start out, but I've done things that border on engineering, even though I'm not an engineer. I designed railway track for a while, which might seem simple. Well, it's a straight line, isn't it? No. Well, there's places where the rail crosses, and there's a casting in there called a frog, and it wears down and it needs to be sent back for repair to get heated up and rebent and kind of shaved down again and that. And I wrote the instructions for those things. I also designed electronic control panels and ran factories and that. So, but my point here is that never in any of those jobs that I've ever had has my sense of self been tied up in that role. It was just a thing that I went in and I did. I'm doing it right now. I'm a trainer right now. I'm wearing that hat, okay, the trainer hat right now. And this is a little bit more, I guess, tied into my sense of reality and my sense of who I am. Yeah, I'm going to be an educator and an enlightener if I can. I've been told I'm very good at getting to the point of things, the core or the root of things. And also very good at finding fuzzy logic in people, where if they're talking along and there's a real nebulous spot there, I'm going to pick that out right away, which might be good if I was an attorney, I guess. Sometimes it's good for operations improvement, process improvement. But the point here is, don't get so tied up in the role. If this guy who I was talking with maintained that he's a security professional, and that was like full bore bastioning his sense of identity, he would be in trouble if he tried to transition into something else, another role, unless somehow he could, I'm playing devil's advocate here, veneer it on to the security, protection, helping others be safe kind of role or attitude going into things. Now, back to what I was saying about learning things, depending on the hat you're wearing, you put on that role, that hat, right? Some things will become instantly boring because they don't fit the filter of what I need to know and do in order to become that other thing, right? So if my guy here he wants to become a business owner, but he's still wearing that security professional hat, how interested is he going to be in learning financial planning? Or hey, a cash flow, pro forma cash flow projection. So is he going to want to do that? No, his security professional mindset is going to go, that's boring. Why would I want to learn about that? And so you see the danger here? It's going to filter him out, right? From doing what he has to do. Now, if he goes, okay, I was awesome today as a security professional. My role performance was great, which is not the same thing as you. Okay, you are different. You can have a miserable day. I can have a miserable day as a sales guy. Okay, miserable. It doesn't hurt me, my sense of identity. I'll go, what the heck's going on? And probably self-correct. But that's a comfort zone thing. But I'm not going to be totally crushed by it and go, oh my gosh, my sense of identity is destroyed. So if he had that on and he was a great security professional for his day job, and then at night he came home and went, okay, I did that. It's done. Now I'm taking deliberately. All right, thinking about this, I'm taking off my security professional hat, putting it over there. Should have probably worn a hat for this video. And I'm putting on my new business owner hat. There it is. Right? It's going to filter. It's going to change the color of your filter, right? It's going to change what you're interested in. Now, is it easy to learn pro forma cash projections and how I'm going to create an income statement? Yes, because it makes sense. I'm not resisting because I don't go to myself, well, let me check with my sense of identity. Oh, security professional says, well, would you want to learn that? Let's not do that. So the question here that I really want to enlighten or put some light on for you here is, are your roles helping or hindering you? How conscious are you of the roles that you're playing? And a role can be mom, a role can be brother, a role can be gas station attendant, a role can be superstar or a change management expert or something. It can be rock star, right? It can be whatever you want it to be, but the question is how well are you using it, or is it tied into your self identity, your sense of self, so strongly that it's going to hurt you because you're unaware of it. Right, we've talked about comfort zones before. I'll bring it back in again. If you have a comfort zone about something, I'm a security professional and I feel comfortable in that role, and I feel comfortable walking around and doing threat assessments and maybe penetration testing or just putting on a pair of leads, and feeling good that I could crack somebody in the face if they walk too close to my client. That's fine. But then what if you have to be a new business owner, put on that hat and go into a sales role? And we have seen many, many examples, haven't we, of football players who are, they're awesome on the field, but you stick them in a sales role and they're turned into terrified little kittens who can't pick up the phone, right? Okay, because it doesn't fit their sense of self and their comfort zone, and so they go running away from the new role. Can you see the danger here? Right? So use the roles effectively. Be conscious of which hat you're putting on and taking off, and use that. Recognize that it's going to filter things, the hat that you're wearing. Some things are going to be boring, some things are going to be interesting because of that filter, because of that hat you're wearing. So be conscious, right? And be looking at it and going, why do I think that that's boring? Why is this suddenly interesting? Is that what I really want? Is that what I ought to be doing? And be wise about it. But again, the biggest warning that I have for you is if your role is so tied up in your sense of self, your identity, you are in trouble, because the day that somebody knocks that role out from under you. It's going to knock the wind out of you, and you're going to be in real trouble. And it's not that hard to do. All I would have to do is figure out what you believe is true, like this stable information, and mess with that. Disprove what you believe is true, and you will go into such a state of confusion, probably depression. And again, you see these things where the person retires and they die within 10 years. This is what's happening, is the things that they thought were so solid are just whisked away like the rug from under their feet, and they topple. And this can happen very quickly, or it can happen, over a period of time. And so that's the danger of just blindly taking on new roles, or not even knowing that you're taking on these roles. Getting into a weird situation where your comfort zone doesn't quite match up. And then, like that example I gave earlier, you end up running away scared. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick introduction to role performance versus sense of self, personality, identity, and why you should be wary and watchful of what's going on with the roles you choose or take on, and be aware of them. This is Jason Kanigan from Sales on Fire. Thanks for watching.